everyone? We're back with another podcast. You know, it's your boy Zense, and I'm here with my co host.
Go, go.
Yeah. And pretty much at this point, we got the bad news that MK is done.
Well, good news. I don't
Well,
know what you
good.
want to call bad news.
Yeah, it depends on what you. If it depends on how you see it, right? Because it's good news in a sense where okay, we get to move on from the catastrophe MK1 was, and I guess in other news, it might be a bit disappointing because there's some people who actually enjoyed the game for what it was. Some people actually liked the cameo system and other things that came with it. But it's like a to each their own kind of thing. Personally, I never really saw MK as a tag game, so the cameo system was always controversial for me at first. And it kind of just felt like a cheap way of introducing methods in where the characters could feel more complete, but not really.
Yeah,
It always kind of felt like the characters needed help with the cameo
yeah,
system. And
yeah.
I guess that's the whole gimmick of the game. It's like, okay, we could fight together and then fight each other. But um, 1v1s, I feel like the NRS community has always preferred 1v1. It's good to have tag as an option, but tag has always been the side option. And people who usually ask for tag get put to the wayside because it's really a niche thing. You
It's
know,
the casual more like tag can be the
it's a
can be for the
casual game.
casuals.
Yeah.
Let the casuals go and play tag when you over under like a Saturday night with your boys and do the dumb shit. Like it don't need to be taken seriously.
It's just nice to have. It's a nice
Yeah,
to have mode. And I was confused when they decided to go with that kind of thing because if tag is like the least played mode, it just felt strange that you would make a game centered around tag, you know? So
a different kind of tag though.
it's a different kind of tag because you're not fully interacting with your assist per se.
Yeah,
Your assist is not a character you play. It's just an extra tool that you have. And I guess it didn't work the way they intended it to work because for one, I guess they didn't have enough time,
hmm
and another thing is they didn't commit to it fully, even in the mechanics. So a lot of the mechanics, you had the foundation of a supposed tag game, but the system mechanics was not there to compensate for it. So because of that, they didn't commit fully to the tag engine, and now you have this kind of game where it doesn't know what it wants to be. It's a 1v1 game, but then it's a tag game, kinda, sorta, and then you have all kinds of other things that come into play where it feels restrictive.
yeah.
So that's why I was saying the reinvention of the wheel every time. I think at this point everyone realizes that out of all the MKs, MKX was the formula. I mean, we have MKX on our screen right now, um, but MKX is the formula. There's it's just to put it bluntly, because everyone. I'm not gonna say
You
that.
know, you know what is funny to me, not crossing you, but what is funny to me is people will complain about MKX and how it's broken and the 50/50s and shit. Meanwhile, MK11, I mean MK1, there are 50/50s in MK1 that are safe and plus because of like cameos like Fear Return and other bullshit. But then you're gonna tell me you're gonna like MK1 with plus 50/50s, and then when you get open up everything is leading to like 40, 50% damage. But then you don't like MKX because of the 50/50s. Like make it make sense. So like at least with 50/50s and MKX for the most part, not all, but when you block, it's most likely your turn. Rather it's a punish or not. Not in MK1, it don't feel like that. People just do cheap shit into overhead or low and they still get to keep their turn.
Yes,
Like,
it's
you know?
because the tag system. Tag games tend to be like that because a tag game kind of breaks all the rules of a conventional fighting game. There's always a but wait, there's more kind of thing, which
Mm.
is why a game like Dragon Ball Fighters, it has a lot of defense mechanics that allow you to get out of those 50-50 situations. But
Yeah.
the problem with MK1 is it's trying to be a pseudo tag game and the characters are watered down, and worse yet, the system mechanics are basic. There's not much to sink your teeth into, so there's not much defense. Even something like invulnerable backdash. MK doesn't have invulnerable backdashes anymore.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so they got rid of invulnerable backdashes, and characters don't really have plus frames on their own anymore.
Another mechanic that used to make MK unique was the neutral jump punch. Why did they remove it? They remove it in MK11 and also this game. Like, why did you remove it? It was a MK kind of thing. It made MK feel like, is unique.
Yeah, it was a
So
unique
like,
mechanic, yeah.
why did you remove it? Like, is that the problem? MK is becoming so more like Injustice and other games that the identity is not there anymore. Not even within the characters. Because like for example, the Scorpion, like I always make the reference, like Scorpion in MK1 is not Scorpion. That is Coily. Like, that is not Hanzo or Sashi. Where is Hanzo or Sashi? Like the overall the character, how the character play and everything is so generic. I can see that they put no thought at all into like most characters on that roster. That's where the cameo come into play to be that plus one. Because most of the characters in MK1 actually play like MK11 characters. It's only because of the cameo that they get the extensions on their normals and on their like strings and shit. But without the cameo, those characters are generic as fuck. They have no sauce. Most of them they got no sauce. So like for me, like shit like that is the reason why, like Tom Brady once said, the my turn, your turn kind of meta. Like you can't really be creative. And then when you do use your cameo, you just spamming the same shit over and over. It's like a loop. You're straying into the cameo or whatever the gimmick the cameo have. And most of the times the cameo only got like one or two good moves out of four if they have so many. And like, you know, so you just run into people just spamming the same special move with a cameo over and over because that's the only good thing they have, you know?
Yeah, the game is not
So like the game just
dynamic
becomes
enough.
very repetitive. It's not dynamic. It's very one dimensional. I don't like games like that. I like games that I can play my way and you can play your way. And then the guy in the other side of the room can play their way. We can play the same characters and we all got different play styles. And they're all effective. I like games like that. I don't like games where I feel like I'm forced to. And then everybody say, oh, this game is so creative. No, it's not. No, it's not. They fool you guys. They added combos to MK1 and fool you guys. But MK1 is just MK11 with combos. And the cameo system was already in MK11 in Towers of Time.
Well, it seems like the main lesson NRS learned from MK11 was bring back breakaways and bring combos. That's
Yeah,
about it.
that's the only thing. The characters are very generic. The characters do not inspire me to want to sit down and grind them. Like that's why I still play MKX to this day because I feel like the creative. Like I just feel like, as I say, I can play my way. I can be different than anyone else. Like you can play this game for 10 years and you can still find new things here and there that, oh yo, I can do this or you can do that. Like I had no idea. In MK1, I kid you not, I feel like you figure everything out so easily. In MK11 I won, like you figure everything out so easily. And then everybody be doing the same thing. So when you going rank, you just run into different people using the same meta because that's what they found and there's nothing else pretty much to use. And then they be like, the game is creative. No, it's not. You're just because a game have combos that don't make it creative. Creativity is also what the character is doing in the neutral. What the character is doing on pressure. A lot of strings in MK1, they're not even real strings because people can mash and press buttons out of your strings and shit. So like it make you second guess like, yo, do I really want to do this string? Cause he can just press a button and punish me for completing this whole string.
Yeah, well,
Shit like that.
creativity
Is,
creativity is supposed to allow you to express yourself. I mean, it's self-explanatory. When it comes to creativity, you are allowed to engage with the sandbox, right? A good fighting game should be a sandbox. And you and I can play the same character and play them in totally different ways, even if they have a restrictive archetype. Like, say, for example, you might have a character that's rush down, and
yeah,
that's the general game plan of the character, rush down. But even in that rush down archetype, they're still flexible enough to allow you to play in different ways. You might play the character, the same rush down character. You might play them in a way that's very Oki heavy, right? You might
mhm,
play them very Oki heavy. I might play them very pressure heavy, strike throw heavy. But at least in that archetype, it's versatile enough to allow us to express ourselves how we want.
exactly,
So
exactly.
when it and that's what I'm saying. MKX had that, but
They had it. Like
the
for example, people know me in MKX my Ermat to be like the forward four, me the forward 3-4 god. Pretty much. People say that I'm the best Ermat at using forward 3-4. Right? Now Khalid that I put as the number one Ermat. I always say I'm like the second best Ermat in MKS, but Khalid that I put as number one Ermat. He don't use standing. I mean, he don't use forward 3-4 like I do. His main string with Ermat is standing too. So it just goes to show you how me and him have different ways to apply pressure, and it's both effective. You know, shit like that I like about the game. Cause now I'm playing against another Ermac that I'm not forced to feel like I'm playing an exact copy of myself because there's nothing else for him to do or I to
his
do.
expression,
So we
man.
just following this program. I don't like that. I don't tell me what to do. Just give me the game and let me play it my way.
It's the sandbox,
Tell
There's
me what
no,
to do. So,
and even the thing about today, you have all kind of social media because when it comes to tech spreads faster now. We have Twitter, we have all kinds of social media platforms. If you're making a game that's puddle deep in depth, it's going to get figured out in 2 weeks to a month.
yeah,
And that's never a good sign. People want to always find new things. Now you have to rely on patches. And patches can be either good or bad depending on the timing because you want the game to breathe. You don't want to just keep hot patching. And that was another problem with MK1. It felt like NRS kind of knee jerk patched a lot of things. Like, for example, when Cyrax was the Cyrax meta, not too long after the tournament, and I know some people said, well, NRS had it planned already. I can't confirm nor deny that, but it felt like it was a knee jerk reaction. It's like, oh my god, Cyrax is too strong, let's nerf him.
yeah.
So there was no organization, it felt
You
like.
know, before NRS nerf Cyrax, you can remember what I told you, dog. Like after 1 month of MK1, I told you, dog, I'm done with this game. I
Oh
was
yeah,
like, yo,
yeah,
bro, I'm
because
done with this
it was too
game. I'm
it was
like,
too
yo, every
repetitive.
time I go on this game and I go into rank, I'm running into the same 3-4 characters with the same cameo, Cyrax Arcano or Kung Lao. It was Cyrax, Kano, or Kung Lao. And I'm like, yo, dog, even if I win, I'm so bored because people are just doing the same shit. A string into Cyrax, jail you, lock you down, and repeat the same process over and over again. And then when they don't have their cameo, they're just backing away, backing away, backing away. Like that is fun to play. How is that fun to play? They're just running away when their cameo is recharging, but then when they got their broken ass cameo, they're applying the same loop all the time. No creativity. Just 1, 2, 3 into cameo, 1, 2, 3 into cameo. Like, and then you can't do anything about it because the defensive systems in this game is not good. So then when you try to armor, the shit is breaking your armor because your armor is not strong enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
because
up block got to be the most wasted mechanic. I don't get why up block need to be in a game like this when anti-airs are so fucking strong. Like anti-airs are strong as shit in this game. You can press almost any button at anti-air anyone, dog. Like why is there up block? You should have put up block probably in like MK11, if anything, like so that way, like I heard Tom Brady talk about that too. Like they just mismatch mechanics where the problem no even no longer
well,
exists.
what you were saying
Up
is,
block was an MK11 problem,
yeah,
but
well,
they put it in MK1. But MK1 is while it's MK11 with combos, it still function different because it's not like wake up roll and all that dumb shit, or flawless block, punish kind of shit. Like no, like so
what Tom was saying was, oh, and if my voice sounds a bit coarse, I kind of recovering from a cold, so please forgive me. But what Tom was saying was they're fixing the problems of the old game in the next game. But the next game is a totally different game and it has its own problems. So it doesn't apply. And that's the issue. So the problem is with the constant reinventing the wheel.
yeah.
It's a big risk. Other companies do that. Street Fighter does it for sure. But Street Fighter still maintains a certain amount of legacy.
And legacy because like Street Fighter, the characters don't change. When you get Cammy in SF4, that's Cammy in SF5. Yes, the gimmicks about the character based off the game mechanics, the change, so it is slightly things work slightly differently. But Chun-Li is Chun-Li, Ryu is Ryu. But when you get characters in MKX and then you go to MK9, me MK11, MK1, even MK9, each fucking time it just feel like this is a whole new character.
Yeah.
So there's nothing there for you to like the old player that used to like the character before can come back to. Like if you like Scorpion and MKX, you're gonna tell me you're gonna like Scorpion and MK1. That character is boring as fuck. I thought Scorpion and MK11 was boring, but even though I used to play him, but no, Scorpion and MK1 is beyond boring. There's nothing there, just standing up in neutral, just spamming 1, 2, 2, 1 and shit.
It's a very
Like
uninspired
is that
design.
fun?
It doesn't feel he's definitely not Scorpion. He's so not Scorpion that he has to have a tattoo on his arm to remind you that he's Scorpion.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
nothing about him that really screams Scorpion. And I know it's a different era and things change, but it doesn't. If things are gonna change, it has to be as good as what it was before or better. And every
Yeah.
time it feels like NRS tries to reinvent the wheel, it gets worse and worse. So there's nothing wrong with reinventing the wheel providing you can pull it off. Unfortunately, NRS has not been able to pull it off. I'm not saying that they can't do it, but I'm saying that they have not been able to do it this far.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of people telling NRS, you could do this here, you could do that here, certain things could be better. What I'm telling you bluntly is make it like MKX. That's the only thing I can tell you.
And
Just
not
make
everybody
it like
gonna like the
MKX.
game, cause not everybody like MKX, but you will never make the perfect product. You will never make a product where everybody agree on it. That's NRS problem. I feel NRS is too much of a people pleaser. Just make the game you want to make. Cause you ain't gonna tell me that MK11, MK1 are games that you actually genuinely want to make. Those are games that came about from people complaining about previous games like MK9 that oh this shit is too broken, this shit is too over the top. Or it's too many 50-50s. Like I always say, yes, MKX got a lot of 50-50s. But when you watch the best of the best players play the game, they will block every fucking shit and make you wonder how the hell they're blocking. Because a lot of things in MKX are reactable, it's fuzzyable. and it just time in. You know what I mean? So, but like I say, MK1, a lot of 50-50s in MK1, you really can't even react to. It's just a hard guess. And then when you, on top of you guessing, if you guess wrong, you eat 50%. If you guess right, it's still not your turn. Fear retard was that kind of bullshit.
So what I'm
You know
saying,
what I mean?
what I'm saying is, again, everybody has their own nice little way of telling NRS. You have a good foundation, but I'm telling you directly, everybody just wants MKX. And I know there's going to be people who will say, nah, MKX wasn't really their thing. The thing about that is you're in the minority. MKX
Yeah.
is like the only Mortal Kombat that stood the test of time.
That I told you many times too. I know, and I'm not capping, I know a lot of people, not a lot, I'm exaggerating, but I know people that are not even fighting game players, but everybody play Mortal Kombat. Everybody know Mortal Kombat. As long as you play video games, even if you don't, you know Mortal Kombat. You watch it, whatever. People tell me that they prefer the old MKX or 10, what they call it 10, MK10 over
Or they will
MK11
say
at
the
the
old
time.
one. They'll say the older one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at the time when MK11 was the current game, people say, yo, I don't really like this new MK. It's too slow and sluggish. I like the old one. I like 10. These are people that don't, not even in the FGC. They don't even know how to do a combo. They just button mash and they can tell me
Yeah, because
that they prefer MK.
the
They at least prefer to see it because the new one just look too slow and
the
sluggish.
the
I'm like, yo,
the
these are casuals. These are your casuals here saying that MKX, even from a viewer point of view, is more exciting to watch.
yeah,
It just
the pacing of MKX. Listen, this is not to bag on anybody, but I think everyone who's watching this video has noticed that in today's world, a lot of people have ADHD. A lot of people have a hard time focusing on anything. You might as well make a game that's bombastic and fast-paced. If you care about viewership and viewer interest and excitement, you might as well make a game that's fast-paced. There's nothing wrong with a slow-paced game, but clearly MK cannot really do slow pace because we're used to MK characters being over the top and extreme.
but we always made the analogy too, like, dog, you can't give someone cocaine to get high, and then the next day give them a cigarette to get high, dog.
Yeah.
MKX, MK9 was cocaine. It started like cocaine. It was crazy. It was over the top. And then when we got used to it, not everybody liked the damn game, but nothing is for everyone, right? When we
No.
got used to it, then you're gonna slow it down, start introducing the cigarettes like
Here's
MK11 and MK1.
here,
Like, no,
here's the
go
thing.
back to the shit. Go back to the cocaine. We already used to it.
Here's the thing. MKX definitely had its problems, but some of the mechanics in MK11 could have alleviated those problems if they chose to stick to the legacy route.
Yeah.
If they took the foundation of MKX and they incorporated some of MK11's mechanics. Obviously, some of them need to get tweaked or just left behind. I would rather Fatal Blow not come back.
Okay, the blow need, that's another thing that I hear about MK11 and MK1. This fear the blow baby ass mechanic in the game where, oh, you're losing, look, there's your chance. Like, no, that's why MKX will always
Well,
remain the
at,
best.
at
Because in
least,
MKX you gotta create your chance, your comeback chance. You just don't get it handed to you.
well, at least
You know what I mean?
if you're gonna do a Fatal Blow, it's very easy. It's very easy to balance because the blueprints have been there before. If you're gonna do Fatal Blow, one, it needs to not have any pushback on block. It needs to be dead easy. You can punish it with your eyes closed, kind of thing, as long as you block it. And if you block it or it whiffs, it needs to not regenerate. It needs to not come back. I don't know whose idea that was,
And
right?
people complain about it coming back in MK11. They did it again in MK1. Like,
Yeah, it feels like,
I don't get it.
and that's
People complain about the screen, the end game screen that just pops up when you're doing a combo and it stop you from like swagging out and just finishing your combo and shit. People complaining about that in MK11. They brought it back in MK1. But you know what is in MK1? Cause Injustice and Game Scream had that same pause and shit. And these games supposed to be Injustice, especially MK1. Cause remember in Injustice when you win, it will got like this freeze frame where the character would like just bounce and hit the
Yeah, yeah,
ground, whatever.
yeah, yeah.
That's why this bullshit that same freeze frame bullshit is in MK1. Cause I believe this game was Injustice. I believe it. You could say otherwise, but I
Oh,
believe this game
I
was
mean,
Injustice.
we don't know for sure, but you could kind of see hints of the injustice.
And even if it wasn't, the fact that you can see so much traits of like so many traits of Injustice in MK and Mortal Kombat is a problem.
Yeah, it
Why
needs to be
let
separate.
Mortal Kombat be Mortal Kombat?
Well,
People
that's
already had slow and sluggish in Injustice, and they hated Injustice because of the slow, sluggish bullshit. You were telling me you're gonna bring it back in MK11, and then MK1 might not necessarily be slow and sluggish, but you see how the meta become when people, the moment they don't have their cameo that they can abuse, they're just running away, running away, running away. Like, you know what I mean? It's the same shit. It's the same
well,
shit.
that's why I propose that NRS to have a sister company. I don't know if WB would fund that, but I feel like Injustice needs to have its own company that makes the game, and I feel like Mortal Kombat and Injustice should coexist. I don't think one game should cannibalize the other. The two of them should
Yeah.
just coexist. It's similar to how when you have Axis, Axis will do Dragon Ball, then they'll update Grand Blue, then they'll do Guilty Gear. And all these games are made by the same company, but they just coexist. Same with
Yeah.
MK and Injustice. So the MK fans are there for MK, and the Injustice fans are there for Injustice. You
And
have,
the NRS fans are just there for
and the
both.
NRS
If you're
fans
an
are
NRS
there for
fan,
both. Now,
and some days you feel like watching MK, some days you feel like watching Injustice, some days you watch both. Like I don't get the logic, as you said, why one gotta kill the other. I
yeah,
don't get the logic. And like we
and
always say, if we want to make a video on Injustice, just based off of the characters, DC, it should be like one of the most popular fighting games in the LGC, if not the most popular. Like who don't like Superman and the Flash and this shit? These are characters that you grew up with more so than Mortal Kombat characters. So the fact that Injustice itself don't even do good as a game, it just goes to show you the bullshit that NRS do. The poor game designs that and decisions that they make that just kill a game that could be the greatest thing ever since sliced bread. Like,
yeah, well, the thing
you know,
about Injustice has its own problems, trust me. But that's why, not to go too much on Injustice, but essentially what we're saying is when you start to merge the DNA, and I understand they do it because they're the same company, so they take reference from their own games. I understand. But some of that Injustice DNA is kind of what caused the downfall of MK, right?
yeah.
It's some of that Injustice DNA. You let Injustice be Injustice, and you let MK be MK. Now, MK at its core has always been power, over the top power, fast
Fast
pace,
and brutal.
fast, brutal, fatalities, whatever, but at the core of its gameplay, not the cinematics.
Hmm.
Fast pace, over the top power, brutal. It's the most brutal fighting game out, right?
Yeah.
And it just doesn't like cinematic wise. Yeah, the
It-
game
it-
the game
yeah.
looks brutal, cinematics wise the game looks brutal, but gameplay wise the game doesn't feel brutal. And I feel like the only MK that captured that was X.
X and nine. I
MK9
give nine
MK9
is
also,
credit.
yeah. I mean
Yeah.
MK9 to be fair, it did a lot of good for the NR scene, and MK9 is an OG you need to pay respects to. However, I've always said that I don't know how well MK9 would do today if it came out as it was, with just a graphical update and the same gameplay.
I always say too that you got a point on that. I don't think it would do as great, but for sure it would do better than MK11 and one. For sure. So
If they give it
yeah,
content updates and stuff, yeah, I think it would. Because the gameplay is just more fun. It's more intuitive. The characters do more.
yeah.
It's busted,
Like
but
I
it's fun.
remember, like you remember the beginning of MK11 when I found out that Sindel was going to be DLC. How excited I got for Sindel! I was like, yo, even though I know MK11 was ass, I still got excited for Sindel because MK9 Sindel gave me good faith. Cause I just love MK9 Sindel. I like how nimble she is, how fast she is, how fast her projectiles are. Like, how she can zone. I just like the character, her float cancels. And
Yeah,
then she dropped in MK11. And then I'm like, yo, they completely took this character and just flip her on her fucking head. Like, it's not even the same character that I love back in MK9. And then in MK1, she came back. And I'm like, I was excited for Sindel again. You remember when I saw that
yeah,
Combat
I
Castle
remember.
Sindel? I was like,
Yeah, I
yo,
remember.
I was hype as shit. And then when I see the card, I was like, yeah, she looked cool. She's doing cool shit, but she's still not the Sindel that I know from the OG MK9. Like, her fireballs are just so big and ugly. She just, like, they just take a card and give her combos and shit. And like I said, without the cameo, she's not really any sauce. The cameos in this game is what really add the sauce. That's the problem. The characters themselves don't feel like they got any
Yeah, and
sauce.
that's the problem.
You know?
I can see that the game has tech because of the tag elements, but again, it feels like the characters need help. And
Yep. Yep.
I kind of hate seeing MK characters of all people of all characters to look like they need help to do the things they were once doing on their own. It's a bit sad. So
Uh,
I for one not too into the cameo system. Uh, and just to touch on something we talked about in a previous video, it was the how we would make MK2 or MK12. What I would say,
MK13. Yeah.
yeah, what I would suggest is okay, just to put it, just a brief touch up to put it bluntly, because it's not about being too nice, but I feel like people try to beat around the bush a bit when it comes to telling NRS what we want. People should say it like this: NRS, this is what we want. We want MKX as the base. We want the fast gameplay, we want the pressure, we want the 50-50s. I'm coming to the 50-50 part because people will be like, what 50-50? No, I'm coming to that. So we have MKX at the base. We have a run, we have movement. The game is not sluggish. Great. It has pressure. Great. Characters are over the top. Great. You take that and you now balance it because balancing is not taking something and toning it down. Balance is actually it's kind of self-explanatory. You need to have a contrasting force. So if you have pressure, you need to have defense that can handle pressure. If you have 50-50s, you need to have things that can blow up 50-50s or help you escape them or even punish them.
Yeah. Like I said, if a 50-50 is reactable, then it can lead to a big combo because it's reactable. If you don't react, that's on you.
Right.
If a if a 50-50 is not reactable, I don't think necessarily it should be leading to at least big damage. You know what I mean? It should be like a hard knockdown, or maybe you get some 20 something percent damage. But like when there are 50-50s that are unreactable and leading to like 30, 40, 50% damage, that's too much. That's too much. You know what I mean? That's really balance coming. Like it can be something unreactable and then taking half your bar at the same time. Balance the game, balance the damage. God, that's the problem with MK1 too. A lot that pissed me off. Almost every character with the right cameo gets like 50% damage for nothing, for not doing anything. And the gravity in the game is so like non-existent to where there's no real execution that really come into most 99% of the characters, if not all of them. You just keep pressing buttons and you're gonna keep the juggle. In MKX, you can extend your combos for a long period of time, but it gets tighter and tighter because the gravity is not that good like MK1, you know.
Yeah.
So
So
like for that's my problem. Like the combos just go on forever, and they don't scale because the gravity is not really there like that. Like why? So there's no execution barrier. So any Tom, Dick, and Harry can just come and drop a 50% combo on your head. Like I just feel like what? I just died just like that, dog, for nothing. Just one bad read. I might half my health bar just disappear like for nothing. No execution needed. Nothing. You know? Like for example, Ninja Killer and MKX. When you see Ninja Killer hit that 50% instant air fireball combo and make a combat or
It's
whatever,
impressive, yeah,
that shit is well earned.
because it's hard to do.
But that was pure execution, and he executed it, and you give him respect for that, because you know that shit is not easy to do. For most characters in MKX, when you getting like big damage and shit, when you see characters getting big damage and shit, like yo, you gotta give that person some respect, because the execution wasn't easy. In MK1, I don't give nobody respect. When I lose, I just feel like I got robbed. I don't feel like yo, that other player was necessarily better than me. I just feel like I got robbed. Rather it be by a fatal blow, or I just get opened up by some cheap cameo shit that is plus on block or safe or whatever.
So,
And I just die.
so what
I
what
just fucking die.
what we're saying is the skill ceiling needs to be raised, and the only way it can be raised is through the depth of the game's mechanics, the system mechanics, not just system mechanics, but executional things as well. But the system mechanics have been too bare. Even MKX could have used more in-depth system mechanics. The characters individually had depth, but the game itself needs to be able to cater for those characters. If the game cannot compensate for the characters, then everything will feel busted. And that's why I said balance is not toning things down. Balance is ensuring that there's always an equal and opposite force. That's how life works. If I'm pushing on something, something needs to push back on me.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
If you get catch in a sticky situation to where you don't have any meter because you use your meter, your bars clearlessly, no, you gotta eat this pressure and block forever. No, that's on you. That's meter management. Those are things, skills that you learn as you develop as a player. Meter management. You don't want to get catch without any meter because you need your meter to get you out of the situation, whatever it is.
But some of the
You
counterplay,
know?
you need to develop as a player yourself. But the thing is, the options need to be there for you to use. So now it genuinely is a skill issue if you don't use it, because the options are there for you to use. It's just that you're not applying it properly. But
Yeah.
at least they are there.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
So what we're saying is to NRS, straightforward and bluntly, you need to just go back to MKX and start tweaking from there. Take MKX at its base. Maybe you can incorporate some of the. You can take the crushing blows from MK11 and use it as counter hits. That would be nice. You can use it as counter hits. Uh, you know, take all the moves that matter from certain characters across the MK games, put it into one variation. If they cannot fit into one variation, again, for crying out loud, use the L2 button. It literally says stance, but it doesn't do anything. How about if you had to give the new MK1 gimmick? The gimmick of the new MK would be stance switching. Nobody really talks about it, but allow characters to switch their variations on the fly. Matchups
But
would
for like
mat
a bar or something, a bar too, like
something, something,
yeah.
because at least it would make the matchups more dynamic. There would be there would be less counter picking, and you would have a lot more character specialists. I feel like people would bond with their characters more because the characters now have higher skill ceilings.
Yeah.
So allow people to switch variations on the fly, give everyone a
Let me
stance
let me
switch.
let me put it this way. What is more satisfying to you as a man? I gotta ask this question to the men, the boys, right? A girl that you wanted and you just say, yo, I like you, and she instantly offer herself up to you. Yeah, that could be exciting. But What is better, a girl that you wanted, your crush, and she make you chase her for a little while, like whatever. No niggas say they don't chase, but whatever. The truth is, what I said, what I'm trying to say is, anything that you gotta work for, you value more.
Yes, delayed gratification.
You
That's
you,
what
you value more.
you're essentially saying that.
If if I need to put 6 months into my character to learn my character, I'm gonna value the character way more than if I learn the character within a week.
Yeah.
Because when it boils down to it, I'm gonna look back at those 6 months and say, yo, like I just spent 6 months on this character. You've got me fucked up if you think I'm just gonna drop this character just like that. But when you learn a character within a week or 2 days, you can learn a character in MK1 in 2 days, if so much. Like pretty much get the character as optimal as possible. But it don't take much. And that shit like that make you just easily forget about the character. Like if the character don't have any value. Noob Saibot is my favorite character in MK. I got no motivation to play with the fucking character. Like, why is that? Why I have no motivation to play with the character? Because when the character dropped, they man within 2 days, like everybody was already optimal with the character. So I'm like, what is else there to learn other than just picking a different cameo that is not even meta just to be different? No, you're getting your ass kicked because you're not playing the meta. Like, what is there to gain from that shit, dog?
Yeah, so essentially what we're saying is, out of all the MKs, MKX at least had the blueprints of something successful. Take the best parts of the other MKs and just stack that on top of MKX. And our pitch to you is the stand switching. Because I've heard some people say that they don't want variations back, and I agree. Let's just make full characters, but you could allow the stance switching. So that's the one gimmick. That's the one thing that's different about the new game, but everything else is familiar. And some things will not work. Our ideas are not perfect, but moving forward, MK is now a legacy game, and we just refine and refine and refine on that same formula.
Yeah.
Because eventually you're gonna run out of like, okay, so MK has been what it was in MK9. It's been what it was in MKX. It went the esports footsie route in MK11. It's a tag game now, or somewhat of a pseudo tag game at this point. If you're gonna keep reinventing the wheel, what's it going to be next? An arena fighter? A 3D MK? I'm not playing a 3D MK. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not playing a 3D MK. So you might as well go back to what works in NRS. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that will try and coddle you and be yes men. But I think what you need right now is tough love. And I'm telling you that your other formulas post MKX sucked.
Like another example, when MK11 first dropped, Sonic Fox got on Twitter and said how this is the best thing, right? And then a year or so or two into the game, the same Sonic Fox was in Rewind stream saying how MK11 sucked. And Rewind was making a joke telling him that he's going to clip it and put it on Twitter for NRS to say, and Sonic Fox was just laughing. I'm like, so on Twitter, you can say the game is the best. But
Yeah,
when you in your body stream, you can talk shit about the game, say the game is shit. Well, you don't keep that energy. That's why we ending up with the games that we have. Cause you guys' energy
yeah.
is not
It's
consistent.
the
You guys
toxic
just
positivity.
trying to be people. You guys just trying to be people pleasers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I'm not lying on Sonic Fox. Like Rewind, if they can remember, cause I just save shit like this in my head cause I didn't like MK11. So when I hear Sonic Fox talking all good praises about MK11, and then randomly in Rewind stream he could be talking shit about the game while he was playing Rewind, I'm like, dog, this is the same fucking guy that be on Twitter telling Boom this is the best shit. But then in his boy chat, joke talking shit about the game,
look at
you
it
know.
this way.
So like shit like that is just like, you know.
Look at it this way. You might as well listen to the quote unquote doomers, because the yes men are gonna enjoy anything you do anyway.
It's not, and it's not even like they genuinely enjoy it. They're just
No,
doing it to please you.
they're just
Like,
telling
that's the thing.
again, they're yes men. They're not healthy to keep around. I don't know if you're trying to protect your ego or if somebody in NRS is trying to protect their egos or something, but surrounding yourself with these yes men is not healthy for the state of the game, and you're seeing it yourself because MK1 was supposed to be supported for a much longer time and it got cut. So, again, you need to go back to what works. So far, MKX worked. Everything
It
we've
worked.
uh, everything we've mentioned in this video thus far, maybe if somebody in NRS is listening, but you can go through the video and find what works, find what doesn't work. But at its base, MKX works because there's a lot of YouTubers that can express those same sentiments. And I'm not saying that they don't, but I'm saying that they do it in a way that is not direct enough for NRS to get
Let me
the
show you how much
message.
MKX work. Not crossing. Let me show you how much MKX work. The moment the current games start getting support, whether it's Injustice 2, MK11, MK1, everybody and their mother run back to MKX.
Everybody just goes back to MKX. Injustice 2 came out in 2 weeks to a month, about a month or two. I don't know exaggerate, but in about, and this is not even an exaggeration. In about 2 months, Injustice died. People just went back to MKX. MK11 came out. It lasted a little longer than Injustice 2, and then people just went back to MKX. Now, how many times do we have to keep going back to MKX? Because MKX is an old game. It's been out since
Yeah.
2015, but people still going back to MK. At this point, it's like people lost so much hope that they kind of just put up with MK1. Or you know what I've seen happening? The NRS players are now playing Tekken, or they're playing Street
Street
Fighter,
Fighter.
because MKX,
Guilty Gear.
because
I
how
even saw Hayate playing Guilty Gear and stuff.
yeah, because how many times are we going to keep going back to MKX?
No, 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 that's my point. And then people say, "Oh, you guys are getting old. These guys move on with their life." So in my head, I'm like, so every other like adult in the FGC in Street Fighter, people can like play in tournaments until they're 40, like Diago 50, like Diago whatever, until they're 30 something in other fighting games and stay consistent with their game.
I
But only in Mortal Kombat is rare people when they turn 30, all of a sudden they retire. No, because the game keep fucking changing. And people don't have any like attachment to the new game because the old one is what they liked before. And it's not
and
just a subtle change, it's a big fucking
yeah,
all
and
the
well,
time it's just a big change,
you know,
you know?
when it comes to change, it needs to happen slowly. Which is why I said if you have a new idea for a character, say for example the cameo system, instead of making the whole game about the cameo system, you could have introduced one character that happens to fight as two characters. One character, it's a change, but it's very subtle and it's small and it's bite sized and it's digestible, right?
Yeah. And they put the cameo system or the tie system as an extra game mode. I see how people interact with it and then whatever go from there.
Yeah,
But that's the thing. Why it is that extra game modes are being taken away from the game. You guys know how that's how you guys retain casuals. Like for example,
Mortal Kombat,
Mario Kart, whatever it is.
yeah, chess
Like when they
combat,
had
all
a
this.
Mario Kart shit, like why those game modes not, you know how cool it would be for casuals that not so good online could get on and play the Mario Kart, the Mortal Kombat Kart, whatever bullshit,
The
and they
Mortal
just having fun, and
Kombat.
then you can buy like little skins and shit for your car to when you're racing and shit, and like customize your car and shit. Like
If you
you
want,
know how
and
how much money you guys can earn and retain if
and
casual
I
just
hate,
from shit like that. Why you
I,
taking it out?
I
Why
hate,
is not like,
I hate
huh?
myself. I hate myself for saying this, but if you wanted to monetize something like that, you could. You could monetize something like that, but again, we need something that's fun, and I'm not calling it's not necessarily a thing where I call out YouTubers because again, everybody is expressing what they feel. And I'm not talking about the yes men. I'm talking about genuine people like Max, like Super, Tom Brady, a lot of Mike Hollow, a lot of these guys are expressing how they feel. But there's out of all these guys, NRS will still cherry pick who they want to listen to because they'll not listen to Tom Brady and they may not listen to Mike Hollow by association. They listen to somebody like Max. Max speaks his mind, but Max is a bit too nice, is what I'll say. Max is a bit too nice. Like, if somebody like Max speaks to NRS, if I was Max, I would say, make it like MKX, please. Just
But
make
I
it like
mean, Max
MKX.
already kind of did that indirectly by when Max did that MKX
Yeah,
tournament, Twitch Rivals tournament.
but the problem is that it was indirectly.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
that,
Do it directly. NRS, we want MKX.
but that's the thing too about NRS being smart. I'm really looking at things, because like Max is like the biggest face in the FGC when it comes to like sway. Max can move companies. I'm saying like, but companies would do shit for Max because Max is who really can get that big promotion out of a game. If Max like it, if the whole FGC would like it. But that's how it seems. But like I said, if Max out of all your games is gonna go back to MKX and hold a big tournament with the best MKX players, and even invite people from NRS to come on and talk about MKX. And so many people can log into it and you look at the comment section, everybody just saying how hype this game is, how they miss this game. Like, I don't think somebody need to come out directly and tell you that this is the shit for you to know that this is the shit.
Well,
Like, you can
well,
just use
maybe.
awareness.
Well, some people just some people just need the direct call. Like, just call them out. Yo, NRS, we need MKX back, and your series is dying. It's on fire, and if you don't get it right, this because you see, based on what I heard with what's happening with WB, uh, I don't think injustice is going to come. Another two,
Yeah.
3 years will pass, and we may get another MK. For crying out loud. If it's not like, because I'm not saying that if you do another formula, it can't work. It's just that you haven't been exactly guessing right with the formulas. The only one that has worked well and stood the test of time was MKX. So please just the next one use MKX as a foundation and start from there. Start pulling the best things from the other MKs, and our unique pitch to you is stand switching.
Use the stand switch.
Stand switching. We don't need variations. Have people switch their variation on the fly for stand switching. We can use the stand switching for pressure. You can use it for combos. You can use it for Oki. You can use it to switch the matchup in your favor. Whatever it is, you can use that. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Like, there's nothing more to say. Everything has
Yeah.
been
And that,
said
like,
at this point.
I pretty much say my point too, and I don't want this to be too long, you know. Because people attention span short. I don't think they're going to even reach to this far. But Sub Zero and Injustice shouldn't be more fun than Sub Zero and Mortal Kombat, dog. Sub Zero and Injustice is creative. That's the best Sub Zero I ever saw. When in terms of creativity, Injustice 2 Sub Zero got the sauce. I
Yeah.
love to see that character. But then when I see Sub Zero, MKX fine, MK9 fine. But in like MK11 and 1, why is Sub Zero in a secondary game that he don't even belongs to? He's more interesting. I got more options and shit. I'm more versatile than he is in his own game. Like, how does that work? Like,
Uh,
that's
the
just
most,
bullshit.
the most
That's
in,
bullshit.
the most insulting thing to me is for a character I don't even play. The most insulting tone down of a character I've seen is for Liu Kang. I feel it for Ninja Killer. Liu Kang, compared to what he used to be, that is not Earthrealm's champion. Somehow he's a god or a titan or whatever they call him because it's never consistent with the writing. Oh boy, don't even let me get started on the writing. But anyway, the gameplay to us is more important. Uh, that is, I don't understand how he's a god, but he seems weaker than his MKX version. This MKX version is supposed to be a revenant that died umpteen years ago or some shit. Yeah, NRS, just take it back to the drawing board and start with MKX, and we take it from there.
Yeah.
Again, we already made our proposals and our pitches. So if anybody's listening, which I doubt, but if anybody is listening, they can take those ideas, uh, and we just see what happens. Cause you're lucky it's called Mortal Kombat. Otherwise, it would have been unfixable at this point.
Yeah.
I feel like you actually have one more chance.
One more.
You
Like three
have at
strikes.
least, yeah,
Three strikes.
and if another MK is coming out, people are already gonna have a bad taste in their mouth because you see, MK11 sold well because MKX vouched for it.
Yeah.
It was coming off the MKX high,
And
so
no wonder MK11, MK1 so bad. Not because it's a bad game, but
no, it's a bad
MK11
game.
left a bad taste. Yeah, it's a bad game, but because MK11 left a bad taste in people's mouth.
So yeah, well, and not
So MK1 is not doing that great because people just, they wait around and they saw what you guys gonna do. They wait on what you guys gonna do because you guys just talk, but then what you guys talk and then what you guys produce is not at the same level. So
yeah,
people wait on the game instead of just throwing money at you guys. And then when they were waiting, they realized that this game is very incomplete. So they wait pay off.
yeah,
Me, I'm an MK boy and I'm very competitive, so I get the game. I always make the joke and say for the Chaos Reign expansion, I bought a character for $80. One character I bought for $80. I don't give a fuck
Noob
about the
Saibot,
story. The story's
yeah,
ass. Yeah, I don't give a fuck about the story. The story's ass. I don't care about Cyrax or Sector or the other characters. I only bought the character for Noob Saibot. So I paid, I live in Canada, I paid 10, 8, 60, $70 plus tax or whatever it was. I can't remember, but whatever. For one character. And they just told me, and then I got the character, and I
yeah,
didn't even really like the character is fun. I'm not gonna lie, but then I realized that Noob Saibot is fun, but I still don't like Mortal Kombat 1, and I still don't want to play even though Noob Saibot is here. So I just wasted $80 on a character just off a hype because I
yeah,
like the
and
character. And then I just told myself, never again. I'm not gonna do that again. They gotta prove me wrong. Like just prove me like, yo, you guys really bring back the real MK and what it's supposed to be. And I'm not even pre-ordering y'all shit no more, dog.
yeah, because even the lies, because Ed Boon kind of lied to us straight up. You know, he said it's been a long time coming. They've been working on this for a certain amount of time, and
And
I'm not saying that they didn't. But if you've been working on this for a longer time than the other MKs, it's kind of embarrassing.
yeah,
So it's either you're lying or you're proving that you're not competent anymore. It's one of the two. So
yeah,
without making this video too long and some random technical difficulty happens because PC, we'll call it here.
yeah,
Those were our final thoughts on the state of MK1 and what NRS should do moving forward. So we'll catch you
yeah,
next
man.
time. We'll catch you next time on
All
the
right,
next video. Peace.
all right, peace. I have a good one, guys.